A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. Star Wars, Knights of the Remnant. It has been 10 years since the Rebel victory at the Battle of Endor and the redemption of Darth Vader. Luke Skywalker has passed on what he has learned to a new order of Jedi Knights, and LEIA Organa has dedicated herself to building a new republic that shall once again be a bastion of truth and freedom. From the unknown regions of space, a darkness has emerged that threatens to extinguish the hard-won liberty awarded at the climax of the Galactic Civil War. Above the New Republic capital of HOSNIAN Prime, the Imperial Remnant is leading a devastating attack that threatens to corrupt this age of peace into a war that will once again decide the fate of the galaxy. We see a star field, and our vision pans down to reveal Signal Station, a satellite spaceport, a space station. It is home to a vast communications array network that transmits across the galaxy. It orbits HOSNIAN Prime, a new capital planet for a new republic. It is surrounded by a modest collection of Republic vessels. In the main command center of this station, a security officer calls out, "Commander!" Commander Rill approaches. She is young. She has red hair and is probably the youngest throughout the entire New Republic fleet to bear her title. "Yes, officer." The officer is staring down at his screen. Sensors are picking up 3 energy signatures. They're huge. 3 Victory-class Star Destroyers burst from hyperspace. Fighters and bombers scream from their hangars and begin raining hell down upon the Republic vessels. The Imperial Remnant are striking for the first time in 9 years. The small contingent of Republic ships move to engage, but the surprise of this attack is devastating. Armored transport ships streak out from the destroyers and begin sweeping towards the station. Our vision moves away slightly from the battle. Laser fire streaking across the inky blackness of the galaxy. We see a modified Soros sub Nella 342 light freighter, known as the Red Knave. Throughout its communication systems, a crackling noise emanates. An SOS call from the Republic ships. "Please, all combat-ready vessels, help us hold their forces back. We need to hold out until the fleet can arrive, please." Taylor, I would like you to describe the young woman sitting in the cockpit of the Red Knave.
Kira Vale is young. She's 20s. She's got messy red hair and a toothpick perpetually in her mouth. On her hip is a blaster, and she was somewhat leaning back, but at the sound of this, she sits up, and she looks over to the droid to her right. "You heard the lady, Doc. Let's go."
Doc 9, a modified medical droid, stares over at you from the co-pilot's chair. And with an indignant voice, he says, "Mistress Kira, might I remind you of what happens to an organic body when struck with overwhelming amounts of blaster fire?"
"You've reminded me multiple times. Incineration. All sorts of fun. We're still going."
and the long-suffering medical droid hits a few buttons above his head, some on the cockpit compartment, and for the first time, Taylor, I would like you to roll a pilot check, please.
That's a 23.
The red Knave streaks forward. It isn't a pretty vessel, but what it lacks in aesthetics, it makes up for in speed. It darts forward, TIE fighters reeling at you as you begin your approach. You, with that roll, are able to roll through the line upon line of TIE fighters and TIE interceptors that wreathe around this battle as you begin to engage the forces of the Imperial Remnant. Our vision moves within Signal Station. Let me see. Titus Reed. Matt, I'd like you to describe Titus and describe to us what it's been like to try and haggle on this place and what you've been up to in the moments leading up to the battle.
Titus Reed is a middle-aged human man, fairly nondescript. He has a sledgehammer of a face, big, strong jaw. His face is lined with faint scars. There's maybe a few bandages on his arm or his face from his last job. He's wearing very simple clothes, brown leathers and a short jacket, but he has slung over his shoulder this heavy pack, and sticking out of the pack is the stock of a blaster carbine, as well as these sort of grimy yellowed pieces of armor that, if they were clean and polished to a sheen, would be unmistakable as the armor of an Imperial stormtrooper, or rather an Imperial scout trooper. The helmet itself is sort of sticking out of the side of this bag. Titus is grumbling under his breath as he walks through the busy streets. There's one more shop. One more. He walks up to the shopkeeper and slams this heavy bag down on the ground. Are you interested in buying Imperial artifacts, relics from the Galactic Civil War?
Before you see a rough-looking man in his 50s. He has a really dirty bandage over one side of his face, and he turns around and he looks upon you and he says, "Artifacts, you say? Now, how did you happen by them?"
I don't really think that's important. What is important is that this is genuine Stormtrooper plasteel armor, in fairly good condition, given the time it's spent. He kind of shoves the bag forward. You're free to inspect the pieces of armor. I'm looking to offload it quickly.
I don't think I'll need to expect it too much. He gives barely a glance at the goods that you've placed upon the counter. Armor and weapons that have served you and have meant a great deal to you throughout your career and your life. And he dismisses them with one glance and he says, I'll give you 300 credits for the lot of them.
Listen, 300 credits is not going to buy me passes off this ship, off this station. I need to get out of here. It's important. Can you cut me a deal? I'll throw in some extra power cells. Just 350, 400 creds.
400 for the lot.
Yeah, 400 for the lot.
And he spits on his hand and he reaches out to you.
Titus looks at the hand, looks down to the armor sticking out of his bag, and he looks at the visor on the scout trooper helmet, almost like he's looking into the eyes of a puppy that he's giving away. 400 creds for the lot. On second thought, I'm sorry, I can't. I can't. And he just grabs the bag. Thanks, and sort of wanders away.
As you reach for your equipment, you hear a boom and a familiar sound.
No, 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 no. And I would move to the nearest viewport if there's one nearby.
Yeah, you absolutely can. It just involves leaving the shop and across the walkway.
I do so, charging across the crowded marketplace, shoving people aside, and making it to the viewport to look out into space.
Yeah, you stare out and you look out the viewport and you see before you a sight you did not think you would ever see again. 3 Victory-class Star Destroyers encroaching upon the space station. You can see a small number of Republic vessels desperately trying to hold back their forces, but just looking at them, you know from your experience that that isn't going to last for long. Our vision moves away. We hear the sounds, muted, strange, echoing sounds of cantina music. Perhaps a popular tune plays, who knows? What we do know, however, is that there is a chiss within the cantina. Locris, I'd like to describe this character and what they're doing, and what they have been doing leading up to the moments before the Imperial Remnant has struck.
We see a reflection in a glass of Corellian Reserve. Red eyes on a blue face, staring down. His hand swirls the liquid. As we see SKYWALKER for the first time. He's dressed in the nondescript gray robes of a traveler. His hood pulled up as if to say he's not one looking for idle conversation. And we would see him lean forward after finishing the glass. He pushes it forward to the bartender and leans in. And he would just tap on the edge of the glass. Tink, tink, tink.
A Gran turns around and looks down at this glass. It makes a guttural noise. It turns about, takes up a bottle from the back of the bar and just pours it sloppily into the glass. Some of it leaks onto the bar itself. That's 4 credits, it says in its language.
Yeah, begrudgingly, Silo would pass the cred stick over, slide it across the bar. He'd grab the newly refilled glass, and he'd say, "It's not bad, but I was hoping for something a little stronger. Maybe, tell me, you look like the type of person who can procure something to alleviate the dull, dreary existence on this station. Maybe a bit of spice, or a death stick, perhaps."
It responds saying, "I have just the thing," and moves away from the bar to procure something else. But at that moment, as you are twirling the glass upon the bar, you feel it again. That feeling that has been reaching out to you. The feeling you've been trying so hard to numb. Silo.
Like a caged animal for a moment, he loses his composure, his eyes darting around the bar looking for threats. He feels that, he hears that high-pitched tone in his ear and feels that cold stab in his brain, like an icy needle, and he grabs the glass of Corellian Reserve and just upends it to try to numb his sensitivity.
And in your fever, in your attempt to null the feeling, to make it stop, there is a... As you put the glass down, you see that a number of the bottles behind the bar have cracked. Our vision moves from the cantina, as I don't think Silo's going to be hearing anything that's happening outside. Our vision moves throughout the station to Asher. You are within the storage silos within this station. Lloyd, I'd like you to describe Asher and what he's been up to in the moments leading to the strike of the Imperial Remnant.
So Asher is human, young, late teens, early 20s, dressed in rags, mostly. He wears clothes that make him blend in, not stand out as much as possible. But he has this like long sort of staff across his back that has an electric end on one end that he can activate. He's running is what he's doing. As quickly as he can, and he like gets to one end, he like looks in both directions and just feels this instinctive pull to go right and goes in that direction. And he does this several times, like running through these like all these like containers that are stacked up or whatever. He's trying to find his way, running away from the thing that's chasing him.
And all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, from your left, something emerges and collides with you. Bam! You're knocked to the ground. A figure is standing over you. Going somewhere, Toran. Arodian.
Utan Yapo, he says, like trying to speak the language he doesn't speak very well.
The Rodian is standing over you, a blaster leveled at you, and he says, You've been running for too long, Toran. You are... Go ahead.
I was just going to get it. Listen, I know nobody on this station outruns Sol. I know that. I was just going to go get the stuff that I owe him, and whew, good thing you're here, because it's heavy and I'll need you to help me carry it.
Lead the way, the Rodian says.
Sure. Why don't you come with me? What's your name, friend?
Hortanal. Which translates as Gurab. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, you come on with me. I'll show you the way. Is it just him, Rob?
It does appear to be just him. You are sort of in these huge stacks with lots and lots of different storage hangars that you can essentially hire or buy to essentially put your personal effects in. And you know for a fact that the one that you have hired is at the far end of the warehouse. So you don't actually have that far a walk to get where you need to go, if that's indeed where you're going to try and lead him to.
Yeah, I'll begin to lead him in one direction, and then I'm gonna like act as dumb as I can. I'll get to like, because it's fairly uniform in appearance, although I know exactly where it is. I'll get to one end and go, oh wait, no, this isn't. No, sorry, this way, Garab. Sorry, it's yeah. And he's just trying to act flustered, like he doesn't have a clue what's going on. He's just trying to buy time to think of what he's going to do.
Relax. We have all the time in the world. And as he says that, you can hear a...
It doesn't sound like it. Maybe we could think about something else. We could do this after we deal with that. What do you think?
The Rodian is clearly shaken by this sound, but regardless turns round with a renewed ferocity and jabs his blaster into your back. Hurry, now.
Okay, I'm going to turn and try and grab the blaster off him. I have a power that lets me do that, hopefully.
Yeah, Absolutely. Give it a roll. Give it a whatever you need to do.
Yes. Let me just check it. Okay, he's within 6 squares, I assume. Yeah.
He certainly is, yes.
Okay, it's basically force disarm, which I think I get to use the force to try and pull the weapon from him.
That's right, and I guess he gets to oppose. Right,
With something.
okay, I'll oppose with something. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay. 30.
Holy Christ!
16 plus 14.
Welcome to the force. Tell me what happens.
So I feel like the blaster poke into my back, and he just kind of closes his eyes for a second, and then he kind of turns, but he doesn't actually touch the blaster with his hands. But as he turns, there's like some sort of motion, or maybe it's a bit of a cloak gets snagged. I think he actually doesn't really know what actually is happening, but the blaster is kind of flung from Gurab's hand and kind of skitters across the ground and like dunk into one of the containers.
Yeah, and as the blaster flies from his grip, our vision moves away back outside into space. The Red Knave is weaving in between TIE fighters and armored shuttles that are gunning their way towards Signal Station. Taylor, what do you want to do? Are you going to continue fighting in the battle? What's your plan?
Yeah, she's going to keep an eye out for the fleet and listen for any communications. In the meantime, she'll make a full attack run.
Perfect. A full attack run. Roll it up.
Okay, I'm gonna use my once a day talent to reroll. Oh crap! I don't know if that's for attacks or if it's just for skills. Because that was a natural 1. I don't know. Gotta find it. I hope that works.
A natural 1. Oh no.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a natural 1. I don't know what that means for an attack.
I'll tell you what it
means in the system.
So the Red Knave whirls about, TIE fighters just absolutely swarming the Republic vessels at this point. You notice conspicuously that the Star Destroyers themselves are not opening fire. You line up the crosshairs perfectly. You get that, and then you slam your thumb onto the button, and you just hear a and Doc 9, your droid, turns to you and says, "Oh, what timing, mistress? Oh, that's good. Did you re-oil them like I told you to? Or like I suggested? Sorry, like I suggested." You can hear.
Fix it, Doc. Do something. I'm gonna see if I can keep us from getting blown out of the sky.
You notice that a squadron of TIE interceptors have whirled about and are gunning back towards the Red Knave. I need to know the Red Knave's defense, which I have here.
Yeah, I've got a.
You get bonuses for when you're piloting as well, don't you? Let's see.
Yes. I think.
Tell me how the Red Knave is able, how Kira is essentially able to dodge the attacks with the Red Knave as the TIE fighters scream at you.
So Kira has just yelled at Doc, and she turns her attention back and sees the TIE fighter coming towards her and can see the weapon fire streaking, and it's just almost a barrel roll out of instinct. And you hear Doc clunk slightly and probably cursing a little. And she, "Sorry, we're getting there. It's fine."
Fine. That'll be what's written on my scrap pile. Doc 9 continues. You still have your movement, so is there anywhere in particular you want to direct the Red Knave to? Do you want to go at the destroyers? Do you want to go to the base, or do you just want to continue engaging the fighters?
I will head towards the base.
Okay, so you whirl about and you start gunning full thrusters ahead towards the nearest hangar of Signal Station. You can see that blue energy hue that covers them all, preventing, obviously, everything inside being sucked out into space. And you begin your journey there. But you are very aware that those that made the strafing run against you have not forgotten you. We return to Titus. What have you been doing in this time, since the time you were looking out the window?
So the first thing Titus would have done would be to begin putting on his armor that he was just trying to sell. So he sort of undoes a bunch of clasps on the backpack, and it just unrolls almost like a toolkit, just unrolling into this big long piece of leather with all of the armor pieces stuck into their little individual pockets. And he begins sort of fitting this armor on and checking everything, making sure it's nice and tight, while he keeps glancing out the window, checking on the Star Destroyers. He notes that the Star Destroyers have not yet opened fire, and assumes that the station is going to be boarded for that very reason. However, he would like to make a tactics check to try and see if he can sort of like formulate exactly how this is going to play out, having been a stormtrooper for most of his life.
Absolutely, by all means. Tactics.
Ooh, 18 on the die, plus 6, 24 total.
Your instincts are completely correct. You lived your life amidst the tactics of the Empire, and you know exactly what they're doing. They are essentially taking their time, wiping out any external threat from outside before boarding. You estimate, with the small amount of Republic forces that are holding them back, it isn't going to be long at all. Already, you see armored transports moving towards the station.
Can I just... Looking at the armored transports based on how fast they're going and how far away they are, do I know roughly how many minutes I have until stormtroopers are going to be streaming into this station?
5 minutes.
Okay, all right. So it takes me a good couple of minutes to put my armor on, and then I sort of like take a deep breath and fit the helmet over my head. And inside the helmet, the sort of overlays come on the visor. And there's sort of this sucking in of air as the thing becomes tight around my neck, and my breath sort of comes out in this metallic wheeze out of the helmet. And I pull up the carbine, pull the stock out, and press it against my shoulder, fix the bayonet on the end, and sort of turn around, and this like super grimy, just blaster strikes all over it, 20-year-old scout trooper armor, and begin sort of moving towards the hangar bay of the station. I'm going to try and get off the station before the stormtroopers get here if I can, and I'll fight my way out if I have to.
Absolutely. And with your first step, that is when the alarms start ringing. Throughout all the corridors, these orange lights begin flashing. Ram! 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 People rushing this way and that. You can see collections of Republic soldiers grabbing rifles and moving exactly the same direction as you're going, ready for any boarders that might be able to land within the hangars. Our vision now moves to Silo. You are within the cantina, and what are you up to? I'm going to say, in fact, you know what? I think it'd be really fun if we actually ask you to make a check to see if you are able to ascertain whether this place is under attack.
All right, perfect. So what do you want me to roll?
Actually, no, I did say the alarms have gone off, so that'll probably be enough indicators to say that something's going on. You're in the cantina, you can hear alarms blaring now, and your vision kind of is hazy a little bit.
So how many people would you say are in this cantina? Is it like full and lively?
It's pretty lively. It's in the middle of the artificial day, so essentially it's about half full. There's about 50 people in here.
And how are people reacting?
Panicked. This isn't a regular occurrence. This for a lot of people, this will be the first time they've ever heard that alarm ring.
I imagine that perhaps there's a young skinny Rhodian running by. He'll grab them for a second. What's going on?
Now, I don't know what we're going to do with languages, but generally speaking in Star Wars films, you understand most languages, so I'm just going to say you know. The Rhodian says, Essentially, that it doesn't have a clue, it doesn't know what's going on, but you can tell that it's absolutely terrifying, and you didn't need to ask it, you can sense it within him.
Yeah, so Silo is, I imagine Silo is leaning up at the bar, watching people stream out, tapping, waiting for his fix, waiting to see if this guy's going to come back. And I think that he would wait probably a good minute until perhaps he starts hearing the alarm, or there starts to be this shudder, at which point he realizes it's time to move. So it's up to you whether or not the bartender comes out before that time or not.
So I'll say that you sort of scan your eyes moving across the cantina, and then you see the first person out of the door. Is that Gran? Just absolutely booking it out of the cantina. However, spinning upon the spot on the bar, you can see your death stickers there.
Absolutely. Silo will grab that, tuck it in underneath his robes, and he'll start running after that Rhodian. When we see him stand up, he's actually quite a tall man and moves very quickly. So I imagine that it's not too difficult for him to catch up to this this young Rhodian who's trying to get away. And I imagine that he matches stride with him. And while this Rhodian is panicked, Silo is not. His senses are dull at this point. And he leans in and he says, so are you getting off of this space station? I need a flight. Are you a pilot?
And who were you addressing? Sorry, Locrius?
Just that random Rhodian who he had asked before what was going on.
The child?
The child, yeah.
The child is running away.
Oh, yeah. So I guess when I was saying kid, I was talking like the Boston, Massachusetts style of kid, like a young,
sorry,
I played it like
it was like a little kid. And then I thought, what's a kid doing in the cantina? This is
going to the bar.
Silo is so baked that he's asking kids if they have a ship to get on.
In fact, no, you know what? That's even better. I feel like that's it.
Definitely.
He's leaning down. So, what do you do for fun around here?
And then all of a sudden you realize that what you're speaking to is actually sort of just the blurred outline of where the Rhodian used to be standing, and then you sort of look and you see the Rhodian is just legging it as fast as he can, and then you hear it once again, Silo, and then you hear something else. You hear the cry of
oh no, go, you go.
You sense something. You sense a disturbance coming from what would be your right. There is conflict erupting around the space station, but there is something else happening within the heart of it, something much more personal, something much more up close. Our vision moves through to the storage depot once again. Asher, you are being confronted by this Rhodian who has been disarmed and is going to try and just lunge at you and grab hold of you. But rolls a critical fail, so this Rhodian hurls itself at you to try and grab you, but tell me how you move out the way and make him fall over or whatever you want.
Yeah, he like moves in slow motion for some reason. It's really odd. Asher's like watching him, and he can see like how his like muscles begin to like tense, and he kind of like slowly gets down. You can see them like untense as he like leaps, and it's all really slow, and he doesn't really understand why. And he just kind of like takes 2 steps to the side, and as Gurab like jumps past him, he like will grab his belt and like the back of his neck and just like guide him into one of the storage containers so that he'll just like bang into it. And he'll like look at him.
So if you'd like to roll some unarmed damage, if you have that on your sheet, then by all means. If not, give me I guess it would be a d6 and plus your strength, I suppose.
Sure. So it'll just be 4.
Okay, perfect. And I would like you to roll I believe it's perception in this system. I could be wrong. I need to bring up the character sheet again.
A perception would be... Let's see here. Jesus Christ. 28.
You then spy exactly to the full extent how his critical fail is manifest. Obviously not exactly that, but as he hits the container and slides down to the ground, you see something roll from his belt. It is undoubtedly a thermal detonator.
Whew.
And the red light is beeping. Deep, 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 deep. Make a reflex save.
Jesus. Oh my god. It was fun, guys. Reflex save. Man, I'm good at everything. 16 plus 16, which is 32.
Oh my goodness me. Now, usually you would actually get splash damage because it's area effect, but because that's so good, I'm just going to say you're able to hurl yourself out of the way of the explosion. It rocks the area completely. However, the floor around you gives way. The Rhodian is completely incinerated, and you fall onto the next layer. You don't take any damage, but you plunge into darkness with a shudder. Kira, the TIE fighters, the interceptors, well, they're trying to do what they do best. They're trying to intercept you. What are you doing?
Kira is going to fly defensively. And so attempt to avoid all their attacks as she's going. So that's my standard action, and then the move action is moving, continuing towards the station.
Okay, perfect. So what bonuses does that give to your defense, just so I know, because they're going to obviously try and take another shot at the red knave.
I am working on it. I will let you know once I find exactly.
I'm sure it'll give a bonus. Let's see if they can actually hit what your standard bonus is anyway. Okay, that one might. If I'm going back to my 3.5 days, that would give you like a...
I get a +5.
Ooh, so one shot.
Hang on. +10. Because I'm a trained pilot. Because I'm trained.
Tell me how the red knave is able to evade both the shots from the two interceptors that are blasting after you.
So she can almost sense, she looks at the screens and she can see the readouts for where these things are coming from behind her. And she makes it look like she's going up and then ducks quickly and just slides underneath their shots.
And they go straight past you. Not expecting the maneuver for you to basically dodge their attacks, and the green laser fire goes completely over you. Perfect. Is there anything else you wish to do? That's defensive, isn't it? So is there anything else you can do with your turn?
I can move. So I'm continuing to move towards the station, looking for a little bit of cover. And so probably heading towards the hangar bay.
Absolutely. And you can see that there are a number of turret defenses upon the station. You believe that you might be able to weave your way through different spires and pylons and things that come out of the top of this thing in an attempt to evade them. Make a pilot check for me, please, Taylor.
That is 27.
I would like you to explain to me how you duck, dive, and roll through all of these obstacles in a very Star Wars-y-like fashion to evade their blaster fire.
Kira's been on a ship since before she could walk. It's second nature to pilot this thing. She saw her dad do it growing up, and so as she's sitting at the controls and it's going sideways and then ducking the other direction and going down and up and over, so it's almost like a dance as it just twirls around.
And the two TIE interceptors are going to attempt to do the same. One manages to nip through all the obstacles that you're going through, but one of them clips its wings on that pylon that I described, and it spins and explodes in a flurry of debris against the station. Good work.
Yeah, for maybe her swift action, she'll be on the comms to Doc and say, Doc, how's it coming down there? It would be nice to have weapons back.
Weapon system stables in 4, 3, 2. I don't know. Just let me work. Doc screams
faster.
Our vision moves back onto the station. Titus, you have moved to the hangars, and you can see that barricades have been thrown down. You see plaster cell crates been put into basically barricades, and you can see specs through the hangar bay doors that essentially are the approaching transports.
How far away am I from the nearest hangar here on the station?
So where you are at the moment, you are actually looking through the doors of one of the hangars, and you can see the whole thing from there. Yeah.
Are there? Do I see anyone like loading up ships or getting ships ready to go, or is everyone just sort of getting ready to defend the station?
It looks like, and you know what? I'll continue that wonderful tactics roll you made earlier. Essentially, the best course of action you can see the Republic can take is to barricade themselves here and hold off against the borders rather than try and escape because they could get shot down.
Right. And I imagine like I'm sort of looking out the hangar and I see the formation of these Victory class Star Destroyers, and I know that they're essentially setting up like a retreat-proof sort of barricade where if any ships take off from this station, the turbo lasers are just going to shred them. And so I'm just sort of heave this sigh, realize I'm just like, damn, the Empire's efficiency. They're too good at doing this. And I'll sort of look and see everyone sort of setting up the barricades. And I will check to make sure I have a fresh power pack in my carbine and sort of take up a defensive position close to the opening of the hangar. I want to be, if the transports come in, I want to be behind the ramps that come down. I want to be behind them and not sort of in front of them.
Absolutely. And you can as well, if you prefer, be on one of those raised sort of gangways that hang from the top of the things as well. So you can either have the height advantage or you can be lower down. It's entirely up to you.
Nope. I like being in the shit. I want to be down there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This is like a waking nightmare for you, Titus. This has been 9 years since the Battle of Jakku, where it was believed the Empire were defeated for good. But now here they are again with that efficiency and with that deadly striking pattern that they're known for. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
No, I'm essentially just, I'm going through... my brain is turned off and I'm just in tactics mode. I'm just going through the motions, checking my weapons, checking my armor, putting myself in a good position. I haven't even really had time to think about the fact that I'm about to fight stormtroopers. And I'm trying to shove that to the back of my mind. I don't want to think about it.
Perfect. Silo. You're wandering through this haze. This drunken haze, and people are running. You notice that anyone with a weapon is running one direction, anyone without a weapon is running in the other direction. What do you want to do?
I imagine that we almost see, like in slow motion, we see people running either way behind Silo, and he's standing in front of this big window just watching these gargantuan ships in place, and all of a sudden this flaming ship flies to the side. He snaps out of it. He remembers that voice that he keeps hearing in his head, that he keeps trying to suppress. It feels like it's closer. Is that right, Rob? It feels like it's closer than it's been.
Closer, louder, more powerful.
He's got to get away from it. In a moment of clarity, he turns to see the direction that it is. And if I may, I would like to make a use the force check to, I'm new to the system, but it says I can sense surroundings. So it says as a swift action, you can make a DC 15 use the force check to ignore the effects of cover and concealment. So I don't know. I'm going to try to, normally Silo would try to suppress these feelings, but I think at this moment, he's trying to see where the threat is coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. So make the check.
I don't know what I did with my D20. I got another one here. Sorry.
Okay.
Amateur hour. Here we go.
He's drunk. He can't help it.
Yeah, that's super high. That's a 17 on the die, and it says the DC is 15. So,
you close your eyes for a moment. It's like you can hear the voice of Skywalker in your mind, but you shake it off and you close everything down to reach out. Around you, you can sense the pulsing of 1,000 different energy signatures. People are dying by the second. Lights in the Force being quelled forever. And through the station, you can feel a power, you can feel a presence. It's not far from you. And then it's almost like there's an eruption of power nearby. And it's almost like that fades for a moment. What else do you do?
imagine standing there. Silo's brain is foggy. But he reaches out with his mind towards that flare of power. He's going to try to do the thing that he's always running from, for as he feels these people's life forces snuffed out, he can't help but think that this might be his fault. And so I would like to use my far-seeing power. It's a force power. If I can do that, it is like sort of like a clairvoyance. You can reach out and you can make contact with another individual and see their surroundings. That's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to reach out and find that dark, evil bastard and find out where they are. So it says that I can make a use the force check against the target's will defense, which is probably going to be tough. But let's see what we can do.
The dark evil, okay.
I'm going to do it. Okay, so that's a 7 on the die, but I have a ridiculous use the force. So that is going to be...
Can I make it easy for you, Chris?
Yeah.
He doesn't stop you.
Oh, shit.
Upon a bridge of the central Star Destroyer, a figure that you have encountered before stands surveying the attack. Oh no, he's appeared behind my camera. And he suddenly emerges. Dun, 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 dun. You see the dark presence of Tydak Var surveying the battle. Behind his face visor, deliberately, he leaves his mouth exposed, revealing pearly, perfect white teeth, which is locked in a smile. He wants you to know that he's watching.
Silo would speak with his voice. Is it me you're after?
And there is one word that responds before it's almost like the connection is ceased. One word. No. Asher. You awake with a start. Your eyes flicker open and you can see that you've fallen down 3 levels. Yet somehow you seem to be unharmed. You were in a dark room, and all about you, you see containment cells that have just been blasted open, crates. You can see what look to be like old artifacts Strange paraphernalia from different parts of the galaxy surround you. But from the hole that you've fallen through, a single shaft of light shines to rest upon what looks like a rusted, battered hilt. And it calls to you.
I guess he would like get up and like brush a bunch of the dust and the grime off himself and think, like, not for the first time in his life, how he survived that fall. Not the first time that he has fallen a long distance and somehow made it. And as he's kind of doing that, he would kind of like follow that shaft of light and then just like lock onto this thing, and he would feel like a connection, and he would like walk very, very slowly, considering what's going on around him, towards it.
Asher, you swear you hear in the back of your mind, reach out. The noise of the battle is completely quiet now. It's just you standing in a pool of light, looking upon this thing.
He had every intention of reaching out before he heard the voice, and now is less sure of what to do. Kind of like looks around to make sure there's no one in the room, that there's no one watching, you know, that there's no camera, anything like that. He thinks it must be a trap when he hears a voice like that. But his fingers are like tensing and untensing. He really wants to grab it.
Yeah. You see that you've actually fallen through the top of this thing. Generally speaking, these crates are locked from the front with a door that would just open. So this is somewhere that perhaps people on this station wouldn't want you to go, but regardless, you, or rather something, has made a path for you to arrive here.
Yeah, Sol Morgan, the crime lord, the Trandoshan lizard bastard who had hassled me my whole life on this station, had often talked about this like secret stash of ancient stuff somewhere on the station. And I always just thought he was, you know, just talking to encourage those people underneath him to like maybe someday find some riches instead of scraping what they could find. But it's actually here, and he's kind of stunned by that. And he just he feels it again, this like pull and this like need to grab it. And he like brings his hand out, and it's maybe an inch from it. And he like closes his eyes, and he's gonna search his feelings first. So yeah. He doesn't know that that's what it's called, but it's something that he does quite a lot. He just like closes his eyes and like tries to think: is this the right thing to do? Does it feel right? So I'm gonna do that for a 24, which I mean, who knows what that does to me. I think it just gives me an impression of like if that feels good or not, or
definitely. Well, I can tell you what happens.
Sure. As
you reach out, you feel you've always been running, you've always been moving, never taking the moment to look back. And this moment that you're experiencing right now, you're looking back, you're looking forward, and you're experiencing the moment. The hilt leaps from its dusty resting place and lands firmly in the palm of your hand as you call it to you.
I think like he opens his eyes and it's there, and it feels right somehow. He's like begins kind of just moving it around. He doesn't know if it works or not. He's kind of afraid to try it. It looks old, it looks dusty, it looks kind of ruined. And I think he probably stays there for maybe a minute just looking at it. and like bringing it close to his face and like turning it over and like getting a look at all of the bits side on. And and then finally he would like put it down at his side and he would like press the button and see if anything happened.
Lloyd, what color is it? Tell me.
Oof. No. Ooh. It is green.
Yeah, it's green. And as the lightsaber blade ignites and this green hue falls across your face, Titus, you're looking through the scope of your rifle, maybe, and you're sort of readying for the initial shots, and then out of nowhere, a ship barrels into the hangar, but it is not of Imperial design. It is a Sorosub class vessel, and the Red Knave has arrived. Can you give me a pilot check, please, Kira, to see if you can land this thing at like full speed?
18.
So this hangar is really big, and thankfully so. You come in at a weird angle. So, Titus, you observe as this freighter, this battered, ugly-looking freighter with these red stripes daubed all across it, just barrels in almost on its side like that, and you see a TIE interceptor that was following clip its wing on the energy shields and just go whirling off in a different direction, exploding in the distance. The Red Knave swings around and people are forced to fling themselves to the ground as the pulse of this thing sends a shockwave through the hangar. You are just able to land this ship without blasting the hangar apart. And Doc 9 says, "Another happy landing."
You're still in one piece. I'm in one piece. The ship's in one piece. See, it's fine. Nailed it.
If I had a heart, I think it would be being attacked right now.
Yeah, well, if you had pants, they'd be wet.
Mistress Kira, we cut to Titus. What are you making of this?
So Titus, okay, cool thing I read about scout troopers. Apparently the faceplate of their helmet can be like receded into the helmet so that their face can be out. So he sort of reaches up and thumbs the button and the faceplate sort of, and he just goes, "That pilot is either very brave or very stupid." And he sort of like pushes the stock back in the carbine and slings it over his shoulder. And he goes, "Either way, I think I found my right out of here." And he'll sort of like start charging towards the freighter.
Incredible. I would like you to make a perception check. If it is perception, I did have the character sheet open, but I accidentally closed it. I think it's perception anyway.
Yeah, it is perception. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm going to use my acute senses feat to re-roll that, and I have to take the re-roll. Sweet. Okay, so 20, not natural.
Perfect. Yeah, you can see that the armor transports of the Imperials are moments away from you. All of a sudden, they are... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just was breathing.
They barrel into the hangar and blast of fire just erupts up at them from the Republic troops as the Empire has arrived.
So I'm sort of like charging towards this freighter, and as the armored transports come in, I'm right in the middle of, the Imperials on one side, the Republic on the other, and so I sort of like come to a grinding halt and try to do my best to sort of slide behind a crate to avoid the shots and put my back to this crate, bringing my carbine back out.
You're absolutely able to do that just because that's so badass as a rain of fire erupts from both the Republic side, and you can see that turrets on the armored transports are giving the stormtroopers covering fire as they begin to pour from the landing platforms, and the battle aboard Signal Station has begun. And that is where we're going to take a brief moment to say hello and welcome to Performance Check. My name is Rob, and this is Star Wars and Knights of the Remnant. We're going to have a quick break, but first I'm going to allow my wonderful players to introduce themselves. And then we'll get straight back into it. And we're going to start with Taylor.
Hey, I'm Taylor. I'm playing Kira Vale, the pilot and scoundrel, who is either very brave or very stupid, and maybe both. I'm having a lot of fun, Rob. I've not played a whole lot of Star Wars, and your sound effects are 10 for 10. You're setting the tone. This is a blast. I'm with Lloyd in the chat. I'd play this for 10 hours and be perfectly happy.
I think I speak for most people that my childhood was the training of sound effects for Star Wars. I think we're all sort of there. So, but thank you very much for saying.
And the aliens. All around sound effects, you're nailing it.
Just wait till you hear my hut. Anyway, Matt.
Hey there, I'm Matt from the channel A Fistful of Dice, and I'm playing Titus Reed, who is a disgraced former scout trooper in service to the Empire. And for the last decade, he's been serving as a mercenary. He's on Signal Station trying to find passage off, and it's now more important than ever.
Certainly is, and good to have you, man. Locrius, my man.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Locrius. This is awesome. I knew that it was going to be fun, but I absolutely love the way that you're jumping, like cut from character to character, like showing what they would be doing, like just in their daily routine, thrust into the action, as it were. Everything, like I feel like I'm in a Star Wars movie right now, which is exactly where I want to be. It's fantastic. And also, my name is Locrius.
It certainly
That's
is.
It.
The blue alien may manifest in the chiss. I absolutely love it. And finally, Lloyd.
Hello. Yeah, it's fucking great. Alien voices are unbelievable. Keep it up. Good man. Great stuff.
Perfect. Okay, guys, we're going to take a short break, so grab yourselves a drink, have a little bit of a break. And for those in the chat, let us know what you think so far. Do you think they're going to make it out? Let us know, and we'll find out very shortly. See you in a few. Hello, everyone.
Hey,
Oh,
Rob.
hey,
This is good.
Yeah.
The lightsaber noise was perfect.
I had to let you choose the color, Lloyd. It had to be done.
I hadn't given it any thought, so I just rolled a d4 and like picked from that.
Good stuff, man.
I think it's like quite meaningful though as well. Like it
definitely.
Or in the olden days of the like Republic and stuff, the color was really important to your Jedi career or whatever, you know. I think green is the fighty one, or maybe blue is the fighty one. I don't know.
I think blue.
I think you should have gone. I think you should have gone like super edgelord with it and been like, well, it's like a black blade, but it has like a silver like interior to it.
Yeah, it's white.
Yeah.
It actually changes depending on my mood.
That's the most glorious thing ever.
Mood ring lightsaber.
Yeah, it's a mood ring lightsaber.
The blade
and I'm angry right now, so it's red.
Yeah. Insane. Okay. Are we all back? We're all back. Oh my goodness me. Okay. Right. Well, I guess we'll get straight back into it then. So, it is at this point, ladies and gents, I'm going to ask you to roll initiative. Just so we can then track, because now we're going to get into some serious battle. I don't suppose you could do that great thing that you do, Lloyd, by arranging the initiative for me, please. Thanks, man. So, I suppose it's rather fitting that Titus goes first as... Oh, wait, have we had everyone? Yes, we have. Titus, you begin. The stormtroopers are pouring from the landing craft and... begin opening fire, but it is you that act first.
I started running towards the freighter. Am I now in front of the troopers? Like, was I in front of the transports when they came in?
Yeah, so you said that you were sort of running between them, so I'm going to say that, yeah, you are in front of them by a little way. Yeah.
So I'm sort of behind a crate right now. I haven't poked up and fired yet. I would like to ready an action for as soon as there are stormtroopers that are in front of me. Like if they're pressing into the hangar, I want them to be in front of me, and then I'm going to pop out from cover and try and take them out at close range. So readying an action, I will attack as soon as I have a stormtrooper in front of me.
Yeah, absolutely. They're pouring forward, and you can see that the Republic are doing their best to hit them whilst they're still coming out of the landing craft when they're all grouped together. But you notice that they begin fanning out immediately as soon as they hit the deck, and you notice that a number of them are moving in your direction. I'm going to see if they've spotted you, which is going to be difficult because you were hiding in the first place. But just to see,
do you need me to make a stealth?
No, because they roll a 2, so it probably doesn't matter.
Perfect. I could be standing out in the open and they wouldn't see me.
Yeah. So what do you want to do? They've approached.
Oh, they're actually in front of me now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, lovely. Okay, so I just stand up from cover and sort of I'm standing right behind a couple of them, and I'm going to just put like a few bursts of rounds into the back of these stormtroopers here. So taking a shot with my carbine at point blank range, which gives me a +1.
Oh, nice.
So 11 on the die, +5, +1, so 17 total to hit.
Connects.
Okay. And then my carbine does 3d8 damage. So that's 8, 11, 13, and then +1 for the point blank range. So 14 damage into the back of one of these stormtroopers.
That is damage threshold and HP. So tell me how you take down this first stormtrooper.
Okay, awesome. So I am really good at killing stormtroopers because I am a stormtrooper and I know exactly how best to take out a stormtrooper. And so I'm right behind this guy. And I basically just shove the barrel of my carbine sort of sideways into the mesh between the back of his breastplate and the pauldron, and just put 3 shots into the guy's torso directly, and then kick off and prepare to sort of brandish my bayonet at the next stormtrooper in the line.
Perfect. Yeah. Doo, 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 and the stormtrooper just goes, ah, and just collapses to the ground. Is that it for your turn, or have you got anything else you can do?
Yeah, I think if I had wanted to do multiple attacks, I could have done so, but it would have decreased my attack roll substantially. So just the attack there, and then just movement to get up to him. So I am done.
Perfect. And as this stormtrooper hits the deck, our vision moves back to the containment silos. Asher, in your hands, this lightsaber glows green. You hear another, and you can now definitely hear the sounds of battle erupting from around the station. All different points of the station, too.
I don't know what he would do. I think he's sitting here, standing rather, holding this thing, kind of not believing that it's real. And then he thinks, he looks up, I guess, and sees that it's 3 full levels, and he's not going to get up there. And so he thinks there must be a way in here, so there must be a way out. And he tries to find that door that would open potentially to somewhere.
Sorry, I muted myself again. So the door, this isn't actually a particularly large room that you're in, and you can see the door, it's there. It appears to be shorting, as if the massive explosion of the thermal detonator has damaged some of the electrics above, which is now causing it to freak out a little.
Okay. I guess like his avarice is pretty strong. He would like turn around and look into the room for a second and see if anything particularly shiny or valuable that's carryable in a pocket is noticeable to him, and if not, he's going to and begin cutting his way through the door.
There are a few things that look like dusty old antiques, but another thing that you notice is that there is a strange I can't remember the name of the shape. It looks like a D12. I can't remember the shape of a D12. My mind is
like that maybe is a dodecahedron.
Dodecahedron.
That's it, the dodecahedron. That's right. You see, like, that there's this strange kind of dodecahedron, which with strange carvings into it, that sort of resting in the corner of the room.
Yeah, I'll be able to find some merchant who's willing to buy that for enough credits to get me off here, or when I get somewhere, enough credits to get me off there. So he'll run over and like swipe that and like put it into his bag, and then move to the door. Seeing it's not working, he's just going to begin trying to cut a hole in it with his newly found lightsaber.
You're absolutely going to be able to do that. So just tell me what it's like.
I guess at first he's not too sure what's going to happen. He's probably never seen one of these before. He's heard stories about them, definitely, lots of times. And so he knows that they can kind of cut through anything, but he also knows that that might be just like a story, like the fact that they tell lots of stories about the Jedi. So he like initially he like goes and kind of like swings it at the door and just goes and comes out the other side, and he's not expecting that. And so he then kind of inverts it and then uses it quite slowly to like cut a vaguely man-shaped hole out of it that he will be able to squeeze through.
You absolutely are able to do that, but with your initial swing, something just surprises you. You'd expect it to feel kind of weightless, but as you move it, there's kind of an inertia to it. There's an immense amount of power flowing through this hilt, and it's something that you aren't fully ready for when you take your first swing. It's almost like you overswing. There's so much power behind it. But nonetheless, you're able to like clutch it close to you and almost tentatively carve it out. But you're taking really, really great care, because this thing could go anywhere if you're not concentrating when you're using it. The slab of door basically just hangs there for a second and then and lands on the corrugated floor. Like I said, you were 3 levels down from where you are, but you're still in the silo containment area. So you'll be able to move, you'll be able to do essentially whatever you want for the rest of your turn. It's up to you.
Yeah, I guess I have this, and I know I want to get off this station because there's Imperials inbound or someone who uses Imperial ships inbound, and that's bad news. So he wants to get to a docking bay, somewhere that he can get out of here. And I guess he knows the station relatively well, so he would just take the shortest possible route to get there.
Yeah, definitely. And you begin moving hastily through the station. Silo.
I imagine we see Silo standing there, and the moment that his connection with his nemesis is cut off, I think out loud he would say, "No!" And he would reach into himself again, and knowing that this evil, malevolent force is after someone or something on this station, he would reach out with his mind again. He would seek that connection with the universe. And I would like to use my use the force skill to sense force. It says, as a full round action, you can make a DC 15 use the force check. Blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of text. Another force user within range can try. Oh, yeah. Force users within range. God, there's so many words in here. Since other force users within a range of 100 kilometers, so hopefully
you're going to be able to. And to be honest, when it comes to those things, I was reading that before, and I'm like, come on, the force doesn't have like a mileage. Just do it, man. It's fine.
Absolutely. Okay, so here's the use of force check. Yeah, that's an 11 on the die, and I have like plus 16, I think, to use the force. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you reach out. No, you absolutely reach out once again, and you feel like you sense a presence moving through the station. You figure maybe 3 levels down, but approaching your direction with speed now.
And immediately, I think without thinking, just with the warrior's mind, he would dart off in that direction, trying to intercept whatever it is that's giving off that presence.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll take whatever, like my move action and then my dash action or whatever the equivalent is to get there.
Yeah, you're able to fling yourself into a turbo lift, which jets you down 3 levels, and you emerge. And this is, it seems a lot quieter down here, but you can still hear the from the battle that's erupting throughout a number of hangars on the station. Perfect. Sorry, the initiative's moved up too far. There we go. Kira.
So I had a question. When the ship came in, did it happen to spin so that the guns are facing the stormtroopers, or do I need to get to the turrets?
It depends. The turrets need to be manned. You have 2 quad-linked laser cannons that are on the above and below the red nave. But the laser cannon is operated from the cockpit.
So I guess the question is the laser cannon functional for the direction I'm aiming for the moment? Like, does it have a 360 reach?
So you hear it as the laser cannon becomes operational. Doc 9 has finally done his job and made it finally work. As you're absolutely able to sort of spin in an arc in front of the red nave with that particular cannon.
Okay, then she will absolutely attack with this thing. And she's aiming for, I'm going to say just a big cluster of stormtroopers.
Sure.
Because they tend to advance in lines, and so she's just aiming for kind of the middle of one of these lines of stormtroopers.
Definitely, roll it up.
So what am I rolling for this for a ship? Let me see.
So they should be on the Red Nave's ship statistics.
Yes. So it's the D20 plus my base attack plus the vehicle intelligence mod plus the weapon range mod, which is going to be 0 for this one. So. Unfortunately, that is all of a 7.
Oh god!
Really. So, but it wasn't a natural 1, so.
Okay, well, because of the devastating nature of a ship laser cannon going off in a hangar, there is just chaos. Basically, everything in front of the Red Nave at this point, like laser fire, just rips up in a line in front of the Red Nave, and stormtroopers are seen hurling themselves into cover as the ship basically rips apart everything in front of it. Titus, you're seeing this sort of devastating people in front of you. Oh, sorry, Taylor. Was there anything else you can do with your turn? I'll cut you off there.
I think I'm intending to just make an attack this round.
Okay.
And I think I don't think I get extra attacks as a scoundrel.
Perfect. Okay, well, what I will say then, Doc 9 is making his way to one of the turrets. So next round, he will be able to act on your turn. Titus. Oh, sorry, the Empire. Let's not forget the Empire. So the stormtroopers are advancing, and there are two that saw your action, Titus. They've seen that one of their number was taken down by someone who just appeared out of nowhere and just stuck like a carbine under one of their arms. So what is your reflex, please?
My reflex defense is 17.
And in typical stormtrooper fashion,
yeah,
they miss. Tell me how you evade their blast of fire.
So I'm so close that they're not used to dealing with people in melee range typically. And so they sort of are like bringing their blasters over to fire, and I'm sort of ducking under and sort of shoving the blaster aside with the stock of my gun and just getting right up in this trooper's face. So his gun sort of goes to the side and goes and fires a stream of blaster bolts into the ceiling.
That's amazing. And now it's your turn. So you're pushing the blaster out of the way as it's firing into the ceiling. What do you then do?
I sort of pushing it into the ceiling, flip the carbine around and put it up under his helmet. And I'm going to take a shot at point blank range.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
That's a nat 1 on the roll. Damn, I rolled really good damage too. That sucks.
So
I'm going to use my destiny point. I'm just kidding.
No, you can't.
The one that I get for the entire campaign, I'm going to use it right now. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Okay. So you do this really spectacular move where you basically have pulled his offensive aside, put your carbine right under his chin, and then there is just a silence. The battle seems like it's a million miles away from you as the stormtrooper is just staring at you, thinking he was looking death in the face, and something has just stopped your gun from firing. It's jammed for this round. So, yeah.
It is like 30 years old, so that makes sense.
Yeah, it's got a bit of sand in it.
Yeah.
Sand, it gets everywhere.
Yep.
Asher.
Just moving as quickly as he can, probably taking several shortcuts and stuff. He knows if you turn down this particular alleyway, you can kind of climb up this little secret ladder and make your way through, three people's little domiciles. You have to kind of crash through the clothes that are hanging there or whatever, but he's done it before, kind of escaping from somewhere. And this time it's no different. You can hear like, as he like runs through somebody's house, and he's like running towards the dock.
Absolutely. And you turn a corner and you stop in your tracks as there is someone standing in your way. A chiss. Yeah.
Probably hasn't seen one before, right? They're pretty unusual, like rare in, I think, most of the galaxy. So I guess he's like running and then he just like skids to a halt. And he's just like looking at this dude who's like standing in the middle of the, I imagine it's like a sort of corridor or whatever. He's standing right in the middle waiting.
I don't know if you've noticed, but we need to get off of this station. Do you have a ship?
No, but you were going the wrong way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was just in the cantina. Mind if I follow you?
And he's like looking around, there's nobody. Usually this is like a busy place, but like the one time that there's a weird occurrence, there's nobody. It's just totally dead. Okay. Sure.
All right, he gives you a pat on the back. You can smell the brandy on his breath as he continues on with you.
Okay, keep up though. And he starts like running.
Perfect. So I take it from both of your goes then that you're both just booking it towards the nearest hangar. Is that right? Unless there's anything else you want to do, Locris or
I just want to know, do I know for sure that this is the source of the the force that I felt?
Oh, easily. Yeah.
Interesting. Absolutely. Yeah, he will just continue on with this man towards the hangar.
I don't think I know it though, right? Like I wouldn't be.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I just think he's like a weirdo, a weird drunk man.
There's a weird drunk man following you now, as if today couldn't get any weirder. But you both find yourself just tearing it through sort of the underbelly of this thing, back into the turbolift, maybe back up to head towards the hangars. Perfect. Kira, the stormtroopers have realized that, you know, there's a big threat in this hangar, but it is your turn.
Yeah, Kira is. I mean, she's visibly sweating. Like, Griff, come on. She's not used to being still and aiming. She's used to flying, and so it feels odd to not have the momentum of the ship working in her favor. And she'll try and attack again if I can keep my cat from eating my d20s. Okay, so that's hang on. That's going to be 18.
Absolutely connects. Why don't you roll that damage up?
Okay, that's going to be fun. Because this is the laser cannon.
It's going to be nuts.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
I'm going to make a roll as well, so don't.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. Okay.
Then I double it because it's 4d10 times 2. So this is 15, 19, 27 times 2.
Oh, God.
54.
That's so great maths. I'm just going to take your word for it. Absolutely. So I would like you to describe how the laser cannon of a ship rips through stormtroopers, and from that, hang on, you're getting about 5 or 6 of them in one go.
Yeah, so Titus is kind of in this melee, and there's 2 lines, at least, maybe 3 lines of stormtroopers as they've been pouring out of these ships. And she was aiming for the middle and missed the first time, and now she's settled herself and she's got things fixed in her sights, and it's this spread, and it just fire and smoke and bodies. I mean, they just go flying through the air.
Perfect. And as you are making this attack, from within one of the turrets, Doc Nine's voice comes through the comm, and he says, "Mrs. Kira, do you remember what I was telling you about what happens when organic bodies are struck with overwhelming blaster fire?" As he makes his attack with the turrets, and a number more stormtroopers just go. One of them is basically just flung into the air with that. And
she goes, yeah, keep aiming for the squishy parts, Doc.
And yeah, so the red nave is just devastating the lines of the stormtroopers, at least on one side of the hangar anyway. Perfect. The Empire, however, have not aren't ignoring this, and you see through the cockpit that a number of stormtroopers are setting up what looks to be a tripod. And upon it, they are putting a heavy blaster cannon. Sorry, you can see that there are a number of them doing this throughout the very flanks of the hangar, and one of them is assembled, so one of them is going to take a shot at the red nave. The ship shakes as blaster fire rips up one side of the red nave. I'm going to take account of what's going on with the ship's hull, so don't worry about that, Taylor. I'll just make a note of it. But essentially, there is a very unhealthy sound that echoes throughout the ship as the stormtroopers begin attacking the red nave.
Okay, I do have a particular talent that allows me to negate one attack.
Okay.
Correct.
So you're able to angle the shields. So in that case,
yeah, I think the first time it's just luck. It is just absolute dumb luck. She didn't notice this thing the first time, and it just happens to skid off the shield and almost like deflect and hit the ceiling.
Yeah, there is a and sparks shower down in front of the cockpit. Titus, you're face to face with the stormtrooper that you nearly blew his head off. You are too close for him to use his blaster rifle effectively, so he's just going to try and do what you did, and he's going to try and butt you with a rifle. Oh, Jesus Christ. But with a critical fail. My God, they're living up to their reputation. What happens to the? You tell me what happens to this critical fail stormtrooper.
He basically tries to butt me with his rifle. You said. So what I do is I sort of like hook the bayonet of my rifle into the sort of the chassis of his gun and sort of turn it aside.
Perfect. And he's completely surprised by this. Another stormtrooper is going to try and take a pot shot at you. Ooh, was it a 17, your reflex?
Yeah, 17.
17, perfect. Okay, so that is 5 points of damage as a blaster bolt just comes out of nowhere and clips you in the shoulder.
Yeah, adding a new scorching blaster mark to this armor that is already predominantly scorched blaster marks.
Absolutely. And as you take the hit, I'm guessing you roll with it because it's now your turn.
So I'm going to try some just 3rd edition bullshit here. So I'm going to use a force point to add a d6 to my attack. And I'm also going to use a swift action to turn my gun to full auto fire mode. So what happens is I sort of have this trooper's blaster hooked with the bayonet on the end of my gun. I reach out and kick him off of me, thumb the full auto fire setting on the carbine. It goes, and I just take just empty my power cell basically into the group of troopers in front of me. So this is an area of effect attack. I basically roll once and try and do damage to everybody in the area. It's a 2x2 square, so that's like 10 feet, basically.
Okay, that's perfect.
Making the roll, adding a d6 to it because I used a force point.
Oh, this is amazing.
Okay, so that is... Okay, hopefully this hits. 12 on the die, 4 on the d6, so that's 16 plus 5, 21. Oh, and point blank, 22. Okay, yes. Awesome. Let me roll damage. 10, 12, 13 damage to everyone in that 2x2 square as I just empty the power cell of my carbine into these troopers.
Okay, what does it look like when you lay down 4 stormtroopers with your rapid fire?
It's not precise. It's not precision. I'm just literally just hip firing, sort of fanning across this line of stormtroopers. And a few of them take a couple glancing shots and then go down as a 3rd shot finds its mark. And it's just this hail of gunfire. And I imagine that as this is happening, the red nave is also firing. And there's just this sort of explosion of sparks behind me as more stormtroopers behind me are just getting wasted. And I'm sort of like wincing and realizing that I'm currently standing in the middle of this, looking very much like a stormtrooper as this ship is wasting stormtroopers. And so I sort of realize I should probably get out of the way on my next turn.
That's absolutely incredible. If there was inspiration to give. At this point, at the end of your turn as well, I would like Kira and Titus to make a perception check for me as well, please. Should have asked you at the top of the round, but I forgot.
That is 22 for me.
I don't see anything. I rolled a natural 1.
You're too busy just massacring the Empire.
Okay. It was close. It was close. Okay, you see something that, I don't know, maybe you would have seen this before in your time. From one of the landing craft, you see a glisten, almost as if light is bending around a particular spot, something that's emerging from one of the landing craft. So you can dwell on that whilst we go on to Asher's turn. You are still running with Silo at this point, and it is at this point that you both arrive at the hangars. The doors automatically open as they do. Huge blast doors open, and this huge battle between Republic forces and the Empire is erupting. You can see that there are a number of hangars further down that are also like under siege. Some battles are going in the Republic's favor, some of them in the Empire. Asher, what are you doing?
I guess he would see that there's a ship there, and he would think that's the best way out of here. So he would like run towards that ship. If there's no ramp or whatever, he would go to the nearest collection of stormtroopers and start swinging his pike around. He's not going to whip out the lightsaber because he's not suicidal.
Absolutely. So you rush into the hangar, and there are plenty of stormtroopers to take the pick of. So by all means.
Okay, so I'm going to also try some 3.5 bullshit, my first ever attempt at such. I'm going to run up to the closest one. When I'm engaged with anyone in melee, other attacks towards me have -5 because I'm elusive. Then I'm going to use a swift action to use Battle Strike, which I've rolled in advance, which I got a 26, which means 3d6 extra damage on this attack. I'm also going to use a force point to deal an extra 2d6 damage on Battle Strike, and then I'm going to roll with my thing. I've rolled it all in advance for 30 damage on this Stormtrooper.
Okay, so the way I've been doing it is kind of I'm pooling the Stormtroopers. So why don't you tell me how you take down 3 Stormtroopers?
Jesus. Yeah, so he runs up and he kind of like, as he's running, he can like feel his breathing begin to like get a little bit out of control. He stops and he remembers like the old Ithorian who like taught him some little things about how to like control his breathing and to control himself when he gets excited. And so he kind of like, and then it's kind of all he can hear is the breathing, and you can see like, but he doesn't hear anything. He can just kind of hear this like crashing of waves. And he runs in, and he's got this like force spike. He whips it off his back and just this blur, and like maybe smashes one in the chest and like turns around behind him and through another one's chest plate, and then like cracks another one in the back of the head with it, and then like with his little flourish like puts it down next to him. Then he like looks around and realizes what he's done and goes, "Yeah!"
And I think in a really, really poignant Star Warsy moment, as you go, "Yeah!" you turn around and there are 6 stormtroopers that look around and open fire in your position, and as you dart away, but it's not their turn. Silo, you see this happen before you.
Absolutely. Seeing this non-Jedi run forward and fight with such prowess, it's immediately evident why this man is signaling such strong emanation of the Force. He feels the cold hilt of his lightsaber handle hidden away in a secret holster in his belt sash. But he knows it's a bad idea to pull it out at this point. So I imagine standing in the doorway, seeing this battle go on here, he looks and sees all of these other stormtroopers turn their guns on his newfound ally. And if I may, Rob, I'd like to look at, we're in like a hangar bay, right? So are there like pieces of ships and stuff like that?
Yeah, there's actually a huge gangway above you.
I'm sorry, what was that?
There's a huge gangway above you, and there are parts of ships hanging off it, yeah.
Absolutely. So I imagine that there's like a, like part of a, like the front half of a TIE fighter sticking off of that gangway up there. And we would see, he's going to try to do it as subtly as possible, but we would see his hand move like this as he connects with the Force. I would like to use my Force power move object to drop a motherfucking ship on these assholes. So I rolled an 18 for use Force, plus 16, that's a 34. That means I can move a gargantuan size object that will deal 8d6 to these motherfuckers. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Well, gargantuan size
Rob,
covers...
this is what you get for starting us at 3rd level, dude. Just wasting these guys.
No, it's all good. So gargantuan size actually covers a ship anything up to the size of the Red Knave. The Red Knave is gargantuan, so you can move more than a TIE fighter if you want. You can pull the whole gangway down on these mothers if you want to.
I'm just gonna smash the Red Knave into that. No, I'm not gonna do that. That's what I'll do then. I imagine if it's bigger than that, I imagine it's the whole gangway with like different pieces of ships and stuff. Just poof, it's gonna drop on them. So let's see here. Use the force check. It says if you hurl an object, it's a reflex defense. So it's against the use the force. So I mean, I rolled a 34. So
I mean, even if let's see if any critically succeed.
Okay.
They don't.
I'm going to use a die roller because math is bad. So that's 24 points of damage to whoever I can get that.
Describe how, I mean, that's the hangar, isn't it? Oh my God.
I imagine that we see them, we see this troop of stormtroopers as Asher is cheering. They all turn their guns on him, and then all of a sudden an ominous shadow appears above them. We see one of them look up, and this entire clattering of metal and doom just drops down, completely obliterating them.
Amazing. Yeah, there is just a clattering, and all of you sort of spin round in the hangar to see this massive amount of debris just smash down onto the stormtroopers. A few stray blaster bolts sort of erupting from them, from their weapons as they collapse beneath this titanic attack. And the hangar grows quiet. All opposing stormtroopers at this point have been dispatched. Give me another perception check, everyone. Asher, it could be your imagination. It could be a trick on your mind. You've been experiencing a lot of strange things today, but it's almost like you see the glisten of, like I said before, light bending around something. And all of a sudden, one of the side doors of the hangars open and close.
Huh.
There is a cry from the Republic troops saying, "We need to get to the X-hangars. We need to go and reinforce our brothers in arms." And they begin regrouping and moving towards the exit. What are you all doing?
Titus sort of takes off his helmet, and his face is just shining with sweat. And he sort of is walking towards the Red Knave, and one of these down stormtroopers is kind of like, oh, and starting to get up, and he sort of nonchalantly puts a bolt into the guy's face just as he's walking past, and he'll shoulder the carbine, and he sort of like waves to the cockpit of the Red Knave, basically like, hey, I'm a good guy. Please don't shoot me.
Asher is looking between this stormtrooper and this sorcerer who just like destroyed half of the hangar, and he's like, "Is this also a bad guy? What do we do?" And he's just like looking between the two.
There's a loud kind of grinding sound as the gangway to the ship comes down, and you see Kira standing there, just blaster on her hip, hand on the, just kind of drumming on the handle of it. She doesn't have it out. She goes, "If you can pay, I'll give you a ride off this place."
Good enough for me. Silo will walk onto the ship.
Whoa. First, we need to set a price. This is not a charity.
All right, well, you seem to have me at a disadvantage. How much for passage on your ship?
How much you got?
Not much.
Let's see. TIE fighters, Star Destroyers, high probability of death. I'm thinking that ups it to hazard pay. Oh, it's gonna be at least 600 creds.
All right, I'll find another ship.
Hey, listen, I found this this thing, and he'll like pull out that dodecahedron that he found, and he'll like, I guess, like lift it up. He doesn't know what the hell it is, and he'd be like, "This is an artifact of another age from the Old Republic, and it's got to be worth at least 2,000 credits. If you get me and my blue friend here, and I guess this guy who maybe is on our side, I just get us out of here, and I'll give you this."
There is almost like a shimmer that emanates just for a second. If you blinked, you'd miss it from this shape that you're holding. Silo, you recognize this to be a holocron. Which, if you don't know, is a database that possesses all different kinds of mysteries of the Jedi and their teachings.
I think that you'd see, everyone would see Silo smile for a moment. The wrinkles around his eyes belie his age. He's actually much older than he looks. He shakes his head. Well, it's either that or I have a death stick.
You got a what? Oh. Fine. Toss it here. Not the stick.
I guess like he wants to, and then he like has this just like feeling of like, oh.
Yeah. A moment. You got in here, spun the ship around, did some fancy maneuvers, so you're obviously a fairly skilled pilot. I'll give you that. But there are 3 Victory-class Star Destroyers out there, and the number of armored transports that went in the ship are maybe a quarter of the complement of the troops aboard those Star Destroyers, not to mention the TIE fighters, TIE interceptors, TIE bombers, boarding craft, and any number of ground units. They're set up in a blockade pattern, and they're not letting any ships leave the station. But I can help you get past them.
Okay, you're useful. I like that. Useful is good.
Yeah, and you're useful, and, well, these two seem somewhat useful.
All right, Storm Dude, you're on. Kid,
Yeah.
you're on. You're with the blue guy? Sure, whatever, let's go. But give me the thing, whatever it is.
When we get past the blockade, and he puts it back into the pocket.
Or you don't get on the ship.
Listen, lady, if I want to get on the ship, I'm getting on the ship.
I could guarantee you, you piece of bantha fodder, that you wouldn't step foot on my ship without my say.
And he would just like slowly turn to look at like the bits of the stormtroopers, and then like turn back and like shrug.
Look, I must have something here. We see Silo thumbing through his utility belt, and he drops a glow rod on the ground. It lights up as it clatters off to the side. Let's see, something. This breather mask. It's got to be worth something. Sure, look at this. He holds it up. It smells like alcohol. What about that? It's worth a good 200 creds easy. That makes this quite a profitable endeavor, I'd say.
Whatever, it's collateral. The longer we're here, the more time they have to do their, what, blockade, you said?
Yeah, and they'll tighten it for sure.
All right, let's go.
A cry goes up from across the hangar. A character we've seen that, well, the characters haven't seen, but was introduced at the beginning of this session, Commander Rill, red-haired commander, shouts across the hangar, "Hey, hey, you!" And she's pointing at Silo.
Right, well, now's as good a time as any. Let's be off, shall we? I imagine we see him doing like the Benicio del Toro and The Usual Suspects when he's surrounded by the cops. He's like turning this way, trying to very conspicuously be inconspicuous.
Yeah, the commander is making a beeline for you all. And it's at this point our vision cuts away. We see the communications array. A number of Republic officers frantically trying to get messages out to the approaching Republic fleet. Remember, the mission was to buy time, to wait till their forces arrived. "We need aid! We need you to arrive quicker! Change your trajectories!" And then all of the Republic officers fall dead from blast of fire that comes from nowhere. Emerging out of seemingly nothing, Dark Troopers, an experimental special forces unit of the Empire, emerge from their cloaking fields. One of them takes off the helmet, a female officer, and places it upon a dial, takes out what looks to be like a holovid stick, and slaps it into the transmitter. There is a beep, beep, and then throughout the station, on every screen, on every speaker, you see this figure once again. Silo, your breath catches in your throat. It looks like he's surveying something from him before he turns to the recording, and he says, "You have all forgotten your place. For 9 years you have rested. You have grown inert, and you have plunged this galaxy into turmoil. Where there was peace, now there is war. Where there was structure, now there is rubble. And where there was order, now there is chaos. We have watched as you usurped this galaxy. We have grown while your forces spread thin, and we have waited until you believed you were safe. Now, the Knights of the Remnant are the fire that rises in the heart of the Empire. A fire that will purge the usurpers and forge a true destiny for the galaxy." The communication flickers, and the holonet, from which all of Republic space communicates with, dies. Silo, how are you feeling after you've seen this?
It's like a wave of cold wind that washes over him. It's worse than he imagined. Far worse. He looks at the 3 figures that stand with him on the opening of the ship. And he turns to the dark troopers that are there. Now, Rob, how many are there dark troopers in the room with us or no?
No, so that actually was a scene that took place in the communications array. You're in
Gotcha.
the hangar, so that was just a cutaway. You wouldn't have seen them do that, at least.
Fair enough. Okay, I gotcha. Saga would turn to the others. The easygoing, lugubrious nature of a drunkard is gone now. As he speaks, we need to get off of this station now, immediately. All of us, the 4 of us. He's not going to stop until he gets what we want, until he gets what he wants.
As
It's time to go.
you say that, a cry goes up from the neighboring hangar. Maybe you sense it through the force. They're falling back! They're retreating! Push forward! You hear laser fire, blaster fire intensify within the neighboring hangars, and looking through the shield that emanates from the opening of the hangar, you see Imperial transports withdrawing and booking it back to the Star Destroyers.
Titus immediately shoulders his carbine and begins walking up the ramp. We need to go. They did what they came here to do, and I guarantee you they're firing up those turbo lasers. We need to go now. This station is going to be ash in 20 seconds.
Hearing that, Kira would say, all right, on. Let's go. Is Rill still coming across the hangar towards us?
Yeah, she's running to you.
She'll just kind of shout, like, get on and close the door. We're leaving.
She looks back and then sees that a number of her men are piling into transports, clearly sensing the same thing. Some of them hearing from what Titus has said as well. And there goes up another cry. The shields have been sabotaged. We're setting ducks. It would seem that the attack on the hangars was simply a distraction.
I'm firing up the engines. Like, once the door on the ship is closed, we're out of here.
Yeah, Commander Rill is the last person on board, and the bay doors slide up. You all pour into the Red Nave. It's a ragtag freighter. It looks like it's been patched together with all sorts of different modifications, and you can hear the thrusters powering up as Kira, I would like you to make a pilot check, please, as the Star Destroyers begin to open fire.
17.
So the Red Nave is beginning to lift up, and then debris from the hangar collapsing smashes down on top of it, locking you in place. Essentially pinning the ship against the side of the hangar and the exit. And you hear a as the thrusters are trying to ignite, but this thing is stopping it.
Come on. And you can see she's like hitting buttons and turning the knobs and, kind of banging on essentially the dashboard. Let's go. Doc, what's happening?
We're penned. We can't move it. There's no way. We're not going to be able to escape. Nothing can shift that thing.
I mean, could we blast it off? How do we?
Pinned by what?
I don't know. Something heavy. It's blocking the thrusters.
I imagine that at this point, the music swells. There is a tingle, probably, that everyone can feel on the back of their necks as you see this drunken buffoon of a Chiss reach his hand and lift, using the power of the Force, lift this object off. As I roll a natural 20 for my use the Force check, if you guys can see that. Oh, it looks like a 2. It's
Na, 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 na. The huge slab of debris that was pinning the Red Knave in place is shifted away. And Kira, another pilot check, please.
I rolled a natural 19 on that pilot check, which makes it a 32.
Doc screams, "Thrusters engage!" And the Red Knave belts forward as the Star Destroyers begin to unleash hell. You are weaving between massive beams of green energy as the Star Destroyers completely barrage Signal Station. The hangar behind you exploding as you are zipping out of this thing. And at the last second, the flames follow you out, but you are now in open space. Looking behind you, you're seeing Signal Station just become atomized by the intense fire of 3 Star Destroyers. You're seeing the last of the armored transports that made it out of the station. Clearly, they had no regard for the lives of their men. Land within the hangars of the Star Destroyers, and then there is a and they are gone. And as they leave, just too late, the Republic fleet arrive. It's there. We're going to take a 2-minute break just to freshen up, and then we'll go to the last section of this game tonight. For those of you still watching, thank you very much. We'll be back shortly.
So, are we going to stay and talk to these Republicans, these Republic people, or are we going to leg it?
I don't know. We happen to have a commander on our ship,
Yeah, I guess that's true.
so maybe hand her over to them. Don't really feel like having a commander on my ship the entire time.
I agree.
I have more important things to worry about, like credits.
I say we run. Run, 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 run.
Well, the Empire's left, and so now it's just the Republic ships. And we do need to get the Republic commander off our ship.
All right, well, that's a good point. Oh, man. Can you guys hear my hydroponics going on behind me?
Nope.
It's not fancy hydroponics, so it's like actual like herbs, not like herb. It's like basil and dill and parsley.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what they all say.
That's what I say.
God damn it. That's what my upstairs neighbors were like. They were like, hey man, do you like grow? And I'm like, I grow herbs. He's like, yeah, man, that's what I mean. I'm like, no, like herbs. I grow like not like herb.
With these things in Italian food.
Exactly.
So we're just going to wait briefly because Matt needed to reboot because his mic went a bit funny. So what's the plan? Well, we can just talk out of game. What are you thinking?
So talk with Rill and probably hand her over to the rebel ships that have just arrived. Because I really don't feel like having a commander from a rebel fleet on my ship the entire time. I have other things to worry about.
Yeah.
And I had a question for you. Would I have any knowledge of kind of who she is, or would I recognize her at all, or is this just some person in a rebels?
So you might. I don't know if you would. I'm going to say no. I don't think you would recognize her, but you'd recognize that she's a fairly high-ranking commander, just from her uniform and stuff. So, yeah, but it would be, yeah, unless you just fly off with her on the ship, that'd be hilarious. But maybe not aligning with what you want to do.
I don't really feel like kidnapping anybody today.
Yeah, she might have something to say about that.
But just to clarify, so the Empire forces are gone. They jumped to hyperspace and they're gone.
Yeah.
So
they struck. They did what they needed to do, and they're gone.
Here's a question, Rob. Is this the first time that any of us would have known of Tydak doing like a crazy public decree like that?
Yes. Yeah, very much so. No one really knows who he is. In fact, you're probably the only person who does.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question is, would this person have meant anything to the rest of us? Like, who's this guy?
Yeah, well.
We're going to find out.
We're good. Okay, so I mean, if you agree that you want to go to the ship, then we can, when Matt gets back, we can start with the Republic fleet if you're going to drop her off. I don't want to say do it because, like, I'd rather you guys just do what you want to do, but...
I would like to drop her off. That is Kira's plan.
I mean, it's your ship. I feel like whatever you want to do is what we're going to do.
Asher would say we're going to get roped into questions and into, like, having to answer all these questions with these dudes, and it's going to be a long time until we get away, you know?
Look, I got some connections with the Republic and back when they were rebels. Everything will be fine.
Uh-huh. Alrighty.
Also, we are technically past the blockade, so
Technically, we never actually passed the blockade. It vanished.
do you want me to jettison you?
Yeah, try it. And he'll like reach around in the bag and he'll like pull out a cred stick, and there's 200 creds on it, and he'll hand you that instead.
No, 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 no. That was not the deal.
Hey, look, I want to keep this thing. I'm gonna be honest with you. Something about it speaks to me. I don't know. It's
Speak.
What do you mean speaks to you?
Do I know you?
No. No, sure. I don't know. I got one of those faces.
Brintal 4?
I've been a lot of places.
Right. Uh-huh.
I've been a lot of places. I don't know. Blue Man, what is this thing? And he like holds
I've been
up
a lot of places too.
he like holds up the cube, the dodecahedron, which he doesn't know what it is, and he's like, "What is it?"
Well,
Mine. That's what.
that is a secret repository of ancient knowledge passed down from the Jedi Order.
It's what?
So it's worth a ton.
Probably.
Okay. Well, lady,
Ancient
listen.
knowledge.
I'm gonna need to hang on to this thing. For lots of reasons, not just because it's valuable. I actually don't want to sell it. But I'll give you these 200 credits, and we'll say it's like 100 credits per stormtrooper that I took out back there, and and all the ones that he took out too, and then we're like approaching the right amount, right?
200 credits.
Listen, there was also this huge thing on top of the ship, which my pal here moved for you. So I think,
Your pal. What's his name? What's your pal's name?
Oh, this is my old friend. It's
I want to try to use the Force to give him my name in his head. Can I do that?
You could use telepathy as part of the.
There's a telepathy scene as part of the.
All right, here we go. Here we go. No crit fumble. What is that number? That's an 8 on the die. What's telepathy? What do I have to get? Like a 15 or something? Use the Force. Let's see here. Telepathy. Let's see here. Standard action. Establish a telepathic link. Through the link, you can exchange emotions, single thought. Intelligence 2 or lower.
If he's a willing creature.
Target, so.
Yeah, so if he's willing, you don't have to really do anything, I don't think.
I guess not. Yeah, so you'd hear Silo's voice in your head. Silo.
My old pal Silo. And he would put a hand on his shoulder.
She'll look over and think.
Yes. We've been many places together.
Looks to me, lady, saved you in that situation, as much as you saved us. Like, there was the thing up on the ship and all the stormtroopers, and, you were pretty stuck there, and you would have exploded like the rest of us if we hadn't come onto your ship. So I think really we should call it even.
Oh, just give it a rest. Fine. Give me the 200 credits. We'll say you owe me one. Because I got your sorry ass off that station.
I mean...
And you're going back on our original agreement.
I think, realistically, you owe us one.
there's just kind of a rustle, and you see her reach to the side of the pilot's thing, and she pulls out it's probably 2 feet long. It's a stun baton, and she goes, "Zhoosh."
And Asher like reaches into his pack and pulls out a lightsaber and goes.
Does he She drops it. It turns off as she drops it. She goes,
and then he turns it off and puts it back into the pack. Even, right? That's what I thought.
"You're what?" All right, we're even.
He would like look at Silo and like shrug.
Where did you get that?
This old Athorian made it for me when I was a little boy.
Deception.
Interesting. What?
Yeah, can I roll insight on that too? Because I don't believe a word he's saying.
Whatever it is in this, I'm just looking on the sheet.
I think it's insight.
Do we have an insight?
Okay, got
deception and God, I don't know.
I don't
Is it
have
sense
an
motive in this game. Is a sense motive
They don't have.
There's
it.
not a
Maybe it's
sense
lumped in
motive.
with perception.
weird?
So,
I guess it's perception then. Unless you have some force abilities to be able to tell if he's lying, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, there's not a sense motive or an insight. It's weird.
I got 9 + 9, so 18.
Oh, it's exactly what. No, I got 19 because I have a +2.
Interesting. There's a green blade on it. What sort of crystal is inside?
It's I know it. It's on the tip of my tongue. Hang on. It's Kawakian crystal.
Kawakian? Like the monkey lizards?
Like the monkey lizards. Yep. That's we this old Athorian and me, we went there to Kawakia and we those monkey lizards are a pain in the arse, but we got the crystal in the end, you know?
Wow, interesting. To think we've been traveling together so long and I've never heard that story before.
Yeah, right, I know. I have so many interesting stories that, you know, it's not that you know. Do you you're okay with calling us even now, right, lady? I mean, I'm not going to hurt you. I don't want to. I'm just like, if you draw a weapon on me, I'm going to draw a weapon on you, and I don't want this to become like some sort of hostile relationship. You seem to be a likable sort, you know. I appreciate someone who's out for themselves and out for money and whatever else, you know. But yeah, you know, we'll just and he like spits in his hand.
Well, for getting you off the station, we count it even. If you want to go anywhere, you'll owe me more. She spits in her hand and shakes it before he can change his mind.
Okay, well, I was going to say Commander Rill is about to approach, but I'm not sure what to do because Matt's computer, I think, has had some kind of attack because now his mic's not working and now his mouse isn't working, so I don't know what to suggest. I mean, what do you think? Should we carry on or should we?
I mean, what if we were to say, like, since he's got some kind of military background, he's speaking with the commander or something while we're traveling or something like that. Maybe there's something else we could do on the way or just to kind of stall, just so that we don't, like, write him out, but...
No, obviously we're not writing him out. Yeah, okay, so what we'll do is we'll say... Titus could have been like gone straight to like one of the viewports to basically check that the Empire had gone. For reasons I won't go into, he would obviously want to very much make sure that they're gone. So he's busy doing that, and it's at that point that Rill steps into the cockpit where you're all sort of bickering and making deals with each other. And she says, "I don't know who you are, but what you did, what all of you did, you turned the tide, you enabled a lot of us to escape." And she sort of looks back on one of the monitors, and you can just see the embers of what was left of the signal station sort of flickering in the darkness of space, being enveloped by the vacuum. And she goes quiet for a moment. "I've just received a message from High Command. Anyone who contributed is welcomed on board. We will need to debrief you."
That's okay.
It's a great offer, but places to go, things to do, people to see. Very happy to drop you off, Captain, Commander, somebody.
It was not a request. And might I remind you that whilst you're shoring up deals, people have died. The capital ship, the Radus.
All right. To the capital ship.
If you don't mind my asking, do you know who that dark, imposing figure on all those monitors was?
No, I've never seen him before. But he looks like trouble. The Empire, they demilitarized. And 9 years ago, the Galactic Concordance, it made sure that that was always to be the case. But now, Star Destroyers, TIE Fighters, Stormtroopers. It's like it never happened. Where do they come from? And she looks like visibly upset and panicked.
Shouldn't be possible. Not... I mean, everything that was fought for... What now?
As I said, High Command.
And you're sure we can't just drop you off?
I made a report. And forgive me while I do not know who this Knight of the Remnant is. I know a Jedi when I see one, and she looks at you, Silo.
There are no Jedi. Not anymore.
Well, your friend here has a lightsaber.
Well, perhaps you should direct your questions to him.
I found it. Having a laser sword doesn't make me a Jedi any more than, whatever. Having Stormtrooper armor makes that guy a Stormtrooper.
You found it? You found it? You didn't go and get the crystal and have someone make it for you?
And he gives you this look of like, I'm lying to the commander because they're just asking me questions. It's like, not exactly, no.
Look, Commander, it doesn't matter who did what. What matters is what's going to happen now. The Star Destroyers, did they appear out of hyperspace? I'm no grease monkey myself, but is there some way to, I don't know, triangulate, find out where they came from?
I'm really sorry, Chris. My headphones went a bit weird. Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, no problem. He was just he was asking the commander if the Star Destroyers came out of hyperspace, and if so, is there a way to track them from where they came?
We were trying to track their trajectory as they approached. We picked up their energy signals, but it was too late. And, well, by the time that they were leaving, the station was already half destroyed. We could make calculations, but it would take time. I'm sure something could be done aboard the capital ships. I hope some of my friends made it. She looks devastated. Like, she'd obviously, like, had her post here, and her life, basically, was signal station.
Yeah, that strikes a chord with Silo. He's spent so long running. And now the thing that he was running from has caused so much devastation in just a moment. And this is just the beginning. What do you plan to do now? I mean, he has 3 Star Destroyers.
That we know of.
You're the Republic. You've got the Republic fleet. Rule the galaxy. Surely it's not that big a deal.
It's true. We have the Republic fleet. But the ship's here, and she looks up, and, you know, there's about 4 or 5 of them. The message that Tydak had spoken rings true in the extent that their forces are spread thin. Since the Galactic Concordance and since the handover of power, there's been a vacuum, particularly in the Outer Rim. It's been incredibly hard to basically enforce, you know, a new government upon the galaxy. And they are very much spread thin. And now our communications have been knocked down. Who's to say where else they're striking?
I don't remember everything he said, but seems to me that whatever this new force is trying to do, what did he call it? Knights of the Remnant, reforging the Empire. What planets, what civilizations would be most susceptible? Perhaps we should look in places that have less of your influence and are more susceptible to them.
You're right. I mean, there are a number of worlds, systems, in fact, that still lament the loss of the Empire. Say what you like about them, but they knew how to maintain order. Please, set a course for the Radis. I'll ensure that you're all compensated for your help. But High Command wish to speak with you.
Hero would just kind of nod and turn and start getting on comms and see if she can get, you know, permission to kind of dock in one of their ship bays.
Dark Nine says, I think your new friend took a hit to the shoulder. I'm going to see to him. And Dark Nine goes off to find Titus. The Red Knave easily swings into the hangar of the vast Republic capital ship and docks quickly. Commander Rill turns to you as the landing bay opens, and she says, "You'll be sent for. If there's anything you wish to do before speaking with the Republic High Command, then now's the time. You don't have long. Oh, and don't go anywhere." And she gives like a quirk of a smile from the corner of her mouth, and she disembarks.
All right, listen, lady. You need to keep this lightsaber thing nice and quiet, okay? It's extremely valuable, and they'll think things that aren't true, and they might try and take it off me, and I don't want to give it to them. It's mine.
Yeah, and you know, the fact that the commander saw it might be a little bit outside my control.
Yeah, so go along with the story that I tell in future, and we'll all have one story, and it'll make a lot of sense.
How much is that worth to you?
Yeah, I think we're going to be compensated here. I don't know. We'll see what we get, right?
Perfect. So, we got a map back.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. Jesus Christ.
Bless you, man.
Oh.
If someone would like to catch Matt up in the chat very quickly, we will go with Silo first of all. Silo, is there anything you wish to do in the brief amount of time you have before speaking with Republic High Command?
Absolutely. I think that the most important thing, the thing that's weighing on Silo's mind, is that he needs to have a talk with Asha. So I imagine that, you know, at some point during our travels, perhaps he's like, I think I pulled something in that battle. Asha, come here. Help pop my spine back into shape.
Yeah.
And he'll try to get him away from the others for a minute to have a talk with him. You would see him. He looks at you. The red eyes of a chiss tend to be inscrutable to a human because they're pupilless. He leans in close to you, and he'll say, "Now listen, boy. I don't know where you got that lightsaber. And frankly, I don't care. Have you heard a voice in your head other than mine?"
And I guess you would like, being adept at reading people, you would like see him think about lying. His eyes would like shift for a second. Yeah, before I picked it up, the lightsaber said my name.
The lightsaber said your name.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at it, and then something said my name. It had to be the lightsaber, right?
No, it was not. It was the man on every screen in that space station.
What?
His name is Tydak. Listen. He will try to contact you again. Do not listen. How long have you known how to fight the way you fought on the hangar?
I don't know. I've always been quick and strong.
That surpasses quick and strong. You knocked down 3 professional soldiers with one stroke. I haven't seen raw talent like that in some time. What else? What else have you always known how to do?
You know, quick, strong. I guess I'm good at lying and convincing people of things, but I don't know. I'm quite charming.
Look, his name is Tydark. I've run into him before. He will tempt you. He will offer you things. Power. Don't listen. Look, the Force is... Forget what you've heard. The Force is terrifying. The things it can do. Turn you into something you are not. I can show you how to harness this. But do not listen to anyone but me. Do you understand?
You're really one of them, aren't you?
A Jedi? No, there are no Jedi. I'm, like you, someone who found a way to tap into the secrets of the universe. I have, I've trained with someone who called himself a Jedi, yes, but there are no more, and quite frankly, there should not be. It's too dangerous.
But if the Empire are coming back and they've got 4 ships, we got to do something, right?
Yes, you're right. I will fight them. And you should fight them with me. But get this Jedi notion out of your head. It's too much. You don't understand. I've seen what it can do to a person. It's terrible.
Will you hold still? Doc 9 is desperately trying to make sure that Titus stays put whilst he sees to his shoulder where you took the blaster shot.
It's nothing. This is why I'm wearing armor. I'm just trying to take this all in. The Empire is supposed to be gone. They lost the war 10 years ago. I know. I was there. So now the remnant is back, and now you're telling me, and he sort of looks at the Chiss, that you're a Jedi, or that you are something close to one. There's at least one Jedi, because he killed a lot of my friends. So is that... Are you telling me you trained with him? That you know him?
Look. Yes. Yes.
Who's him?
That's what I'm saying.
Uh-huh. And you and he points to the pilot, Kira, and you must have learned flying from General Solo then, right? I mean, that stands to reason.
I could fly circles around him.
Yeah. Listen, I don't know this what did you call him? The guy with the mask?
Tydak.
I don't know this Tydak person. I would have remembered him if he served in the Empire, but he seems like an up-jumped Darth Vader acolyte. Is he capable of the kinds of things that you are capable of? Dropping ships on people? Lifting hangars?
Yes. And worse. Far worse.
Does he know you're here?
Yes, he does.
Oh, whoa! But that was not mentioned earlier.
Yeah, conveniently left out of the discussion about letting us aboard this ship.
Fine. You want to bring me back? Bring me back. That's fine.
Bring you back to what? It's gone. Your friend Tydak blew it up.
Listen. My friend. You've never heard of him before, but you will. You will indeed. No, that thing is no friend of mine. Look, it's clear that there's a good deal of love lost in this room. I am truly sorry for the loss of your friends. This is why there should be no Jedi.
It was a war. It was a war with two sides, and we were on one side, and he was on the other. I don't hold any grudges, and I, of course, don't hold you responsible. That's not the point.
Did you pick your side?
Yeah, I did. I enlisted. I grew up on Coruscant. Joining the army, being a stormtrooper, was a really easy way to make money, make a living, do something bigger than yourself. So yeah, I chose my side, and I also chose when the war ended for me. And apparently a lot of my comrades haven't made that decision yet.
At that, Commander Real returns. She walks up the gangway of the Red Nave. They're ready for you. Even if you're here. Even if you're here to be compensated, and we plan to compensate you, you fought well. You deserve to be paid at least. All I ask is that you keep an open mind. And she turns and she walks down the gangway. She leads you through a vast hangar of the capital ship known as the Radus. And you are led to a turbolift, which you wait for a while. You sweep down one corridor and then another, and you come to what appears to be some kind of council chambers. And she says, I've been told for you to just wait here. They won't be long. Doors close. This is the last chance for you to just chat and work out what your intentions are, people.
All right, so is anybody interested in joining? I mean, I have other things to take care of.
Joining what?
Apparently there's a war back on.
No. We've been over this. The war ended 10 years ago.
You know, the stormtroopers that showed up and shot up my ship didn't seem to know that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have caught on with them. I really hope that I can get out of here without being charged for war crimes. I'm aboard a Republic flagship wearing stormtrooper armor. I don't think I'm going to be able to convince them that I'm just wearing it as a hobby.
Well, you picked a different side this go round, so that's got to count for something.
No. I didn't pick a side. I defended myself. And I defended the ship that I saw as my way out. That's all I did. If a Republic trooper would have gotten my way, he would have suffered the same fate as those troopers.
I remember hearing that the I was just taking orders thing didn't go well after the concordance. So maybe change that tune.
To the Empire, I'm a deserter. To the Republic, I'm a war criminal. So either way, I don't think I'm coming out of this scot-free.
I think
Well,
you're
you
much
know-
more than that, a voice says. You turn, and a figure has entered the room. A figure that has many titles. Senator. In whispered words, a general. Maybe even a princess. LEIA ORGANA has stepped into the room. I believe it is we that owe you a debt of gratitude this time, she says. Please, and she gestures to some seats.
Titus is slack-jawed and speechless as he lowers himself shakily into a seat.
Kira, too, is awestruck. Oh my... I heard the stories. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
I appreciate that, but those stories can wait.
Asher doesn't know who it is. He's like looking at this woman who has something about her, definitely, but he like doesn't know how to read. He's like grew up in slums, and so he doesn't know who this person is. But he'll like take his cue from the rest of them and at least be polite and go sit down.
Yeah. You notice that while you all sit down, she remains stood. She asserts her position in the room, and she says, I have been given a report as to what happened, and I can only say it's a good thing that all of you were there when it counted. Thank you. It is not usually within the parameters of my work to debrief people such as you, but, well, I wanted to make a suggestion to you. Something that you all, and her eyes sort of drift to you, Titus, all may wish to consider.
Kira's just like almost leaning forward, waiting to hear what she's going to say. She knows what it is, but she's going to wait anyways.
It's Kira, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. Kira Vale.
Yes, I recognize the ship. Your father, he fought bravely. He served with me.
Oh, I know. I heard all kinds of stories.
They're more than stories, dear. But I'm glad to see you. Anyway, to business. As you have witnessed, an old adversary has returned. One we believe to have numbed and stopped. Forgive me, it's a trying day. It's always difficult to learn when you realize the thing you've been fighting for all your life is still a problem. For years, we thought the Empire to have been utterly defeated. But there were rumors, forged reports presented when the concordance was signed. A vast number of Imperial forces missing from the registers. Now it seems we know where they've gone. Or at least we did. We've not been able to track their trajectory. As I'm sure you're aware, it is a difficult time. You know, they say the war's the difficult part, but picking up the pieces afterwards, that in itself is arguably a greater challenge. One that we're struggling with day by day. But we make do. It does mean, however, that if we are to shift the position of our fleet, with the communications down, it's going to be impossible to know where they're going to strike next. We need skilled individuals. Those who'd be able to travel across the galaxy on a reconnaissance mission. And from what Commander Rill told me, you all handled yourselves exceptionally. You would be paid, of course, and if you wish, and she looks over to you, Silo, if you wish your presence to remain unknown, that can also be arranged.
What if we don't want to?
By all means, we do not wish to force you. But this mission, like I say, we would compensate you. And you could go forward in the belief knowing, safe in the knowledge, that you are helping to do a good deed and make this galaxy a better place. And she smiles at you, and you suddenly realize, Asher, that this is someone who is difficult to say no to. Not because she's forceful, but because she has a presence about her. The decision is yours. You'll be given time to consider your position. We have a lead.
Do it. I don't know about the rest of them, but I'll do it.
Thank you, Kira. As I say, we have a lead. We've been monitoring intel pertaining to a former Imperial think tank. It was known as the Tarkin Initiative. We think a vast number of Imperial forces linked to this cell, like I said, avoided demilitarization. Their last known headquarters was on the planet Edu. The rebellion attacked the facility shortly before the Battle of Yavin. If you would accept, we'd ask you to follow up on this. Find the Tarkin initiative. And likely you'll find the Knights of the Remnant. As I say, if you were to accept, you're to perform reconnaissance and disrupt this splinter cell in whatever way you can. If you discover their plans, with enough intel, I'll be able to sanction a full strike with a fleet. But until then... And she sort of trails off and looks out of the viewing window that is on the side of this council chamber.
Titus finds his voice, and as he starts to speak, it sort of is a croak, and then he... in addition to payment, would ask that my record be wiped clean. I've spent a decade avoiding rebels. The Republic, sorry. Because of who I am and what I've done. I can be of value. I understand Imperial minds, how they work. I understand the tactics and maneuvers of their fleets and their ground forces. Because I followed them to the letter for most of my life. I'll do this thing you ask of us, this reconnaissance mission, if you can guarantee me that I don't have to keep looking over my shoulder. I'm getting too old to be looking over my shoulder all the time.
She gives you something that you're not used to in this harsh galaxy. A kind smile. We were at war. And grave things were done. Some that cannot be forgotten. And you see just a hint of regret in her eyes as perhaps she considers what she lost. But I can agree to this. If you are skilled, as you say, you will be a great asset.
Then you've got me, for this mission at least. Got no other plans.
And she turns her gaze to Silo. She doesn't say anything, she just watches you.
Silo is sitting there in silence. He's unable to meet her mind, her eyes. She reminds him of someone. So instead of looking at her, he looks over at Asher and says, I'm going where the kid goes.
Asher's like way out of his depth. Doesn't understand all this stuff that's going on. Doesn't know who this person is. Doesn't know why he's on the Republic flagship. Like he was used to stealing a box of spice and like selling that for enough to buy instant bread and water. Doesn't understand the magnitude of the whole thing. He like looks at Silo and was like, you tell me.
Well, what do you think? What does your instinct tell you?
I guess he would like look at the woman and would like spend a long time doing that, and like maybe you would hear him kind of like breathing slowly. I don't know why, but I think we should do it.
Good. Well, that's settled then. We'll go.
And she beams, she gives that smile, that unforgettable smile. Well, we're setting a course to the core worlds. And from there, you'll be able to make your preparations. And we're glad to welcome you to the Republic. But for now, rest. And she walks to the door, which opens, and she turns around and she says, "Oh, and may the Force be with you." And that is where we're going to leave our heroes of the galaxy tonight. So, big thank you to my wonderful players. I absolutely adored the back and forth, the banter between you all. That's just spot on. What we're going to do something a little different. It's something that I've been doing with the World of Darkness game that I've been running. I thought I'd give it a try out for Star Wars. Instead of saying, "Oh, what we thought of the game and stuff," we're going to do learning curve and role-playing experience, in which we go around and we talk very, very briefly about something the characters learned and a role-playing moment which is elected by the other players that they really liked from the characters. Taylor, you're used to this, so we'll begin with you. What was Kira's learning curve today?
I took me a good second because I heard you say, "Taylor, you're useless," instead of "used to this." And I'm like, wow, Rob, wow, man. So I'm glad my brain caught up because I was going to be a little offended there.
Oh, bless you.
I heard it too. I'll just say I heard that too.
You're useless.
Like, oh, ouch, man. I mean, I know I had a nat 1 in there, but man. I think Kira's learning curve for this session is kind of that there's more going on. There's some things that are worth pursuing beyond just the credits and kind of looking out for herself. She'd heard about all that growing up, but it hasn't been pointful. I mean, there's been peace in the galaxy. And so now with this threat, the realization that maybe she can do that too, and that there's a bigger calling for her is something she's learning.
Perfect. Matt, what did Titus learn in this session?
Titus learned that he doesn't get to decide when the war ends. Even though it ended for him 10 years ago, it has still been fought by many different people over the course of that time. And I think the thing that resonated with him was when LEIA said, "The war is not the hard part, it's the picking up the pieces afterward." And that's sort of what he's been doing for a decade at this point. So he's back in the shit, and that is not a comfortable position for him to be in at all.
Perfect. Chris, what did Silo learn?
I feel like Silo learned a lot, but probably the biggest thing that Silo learned was that this force, his nemesis, is no longer just a threat to himself and the people that he cares about. It's a threat to civilization, and as he knows it, a threat to the entire universe. So really, his world, the whole bottom has dropped out, and he's learned that running from...
his audio went. Bless him. We've been battling with issues all session. But yeah, he's still talking. That's hilarious. If you can't get it back, Chris, then no problem. But we'll jump to Lloyd. And in that case, Lloyd, what did Asher learn?
Just so much. Just like the most that he's force sensitive, I guess, which is absolutely mind blowing. Like he just thought he was really lucky and like quite skillful. You know, he didn't know that he was like force sensitive. He also like that's basically the biggest thing that I think you could learn in this setting is to realize that you have force powers. And I think, well, I guess I learned about him that he like wants someone to be nice to him and someone who can guide him because he hasn't had that ever. And so like when Silo was like cared what happened with him or whatever, that struck him. So I think those two things.
Perfect. Okay, so now's the point where we talk about roleplay moment. So the rest of you three, if Locus can talk, what was Kira, or rather, what was their moment? What was their defining moment in the session? That's essentially what that means. What was Kira's defining moment in the session? And anyone can jump in at this point.
I really liked that Kira came off as very confident and very sort of shrewd. You know, we're in the middle of a battle, and she's like, "Now, hang on, before you get on the ship, we got to talk prices." But then, in the presence of Princess Leia, she's like, "Yeah, I'll do it." Like, she doesn't even ask like, "How much are you going to pay me?" But she just has such a reverence for this person, and it added another layer to her character for me. So I really liked that moment when she was just like all on board for getting on that mission from Princess Leia.
I think that Kira nailed the feel of like being a pilot in Star Wars. There was loads of like hitting of dashboards and like shouting at the droid who's like on the other side of the ship, and like all this sort of like things like like firing off all over the place. It felt very Star Warsy.
I 100% agree. I think that for me also the standout moment was after establishing the fact that she was like motivated by greed, for her to just once the chips were down to be like, yeah, of course I'll do it. Like, I think that really showed so much of her as a character, but that was already said. So I'll say when she said that the droid would wet his pants if he had some, that was my favorite moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a good job, Taylor. So what was Titus's defining moment?
I'll go. Well, first of all, the face like a sledgehammer line was just like one sentence, and I just felt like I had this complete image of him, which was amazing. But I really think that the role play, the hardcore role play moment was like just the fact that like he's been through the shit, and he's jaded by it, but it hasn't made him become like inhuman or like useless. But the fact that it just like showed so many times that the war has worn this man down, and he's still ready to pick up a fucking blaster and blast people. I really loved that aspect of the character.
I think he was talking about like, we were talking about how he had killed stormtroopers, and he was like, look, if they were rebels, they would be dead also. Like, it's just like a mercenary, and also the knowledge that he has committed war crimes, and even if he doesn't think they are, like other people might, and like just living with that over 10 years and being like, I have committed crimes that will get me killed by taking orders. It's like a sympathetic sort of situation.
I liked the beginning where he just couldn't let go of the armor and like was gonna sell it, and then just I can't. There's too much attached to it. It's been too big a part of his life. I think that really spoke a lot to the character.
Yeah, I've got to agree. And then there's sort of almost like he hears the battle going on, and it's like a call back to war. I particularly liked the tactics element of it as well. Like, oh my god, I know what they're doing. I know what they're doing. Like, I absolutely love that. That was great. Silo's defining moment for you all.
using like narcotics to numb the force. It's genius, and just so grim as well. It's like not like you would expect someone like that to meditate or like to like suppress it some other way, but it's like he's just like drinking and smoking death sticks and whatever spice he can find. It's great, washed up sort of.
But for me, it was like the guts to reach out and contact this big back. I mean, like be like, "Hey, you hear from me?" Like, how ballsy is that? It was incredible.
I really liked Locrius. I love that you have everyone in this game has a reverence for the lightsaber. I think that one of the big downfalls of the prequels is that everyone's whipping out their lightsaber at the first sign of trouble. But even though you're in the middle of a battle, there's stormtroopers everywhere. You could probably decimate them if you ignited your lightsaber. You instead were more subtle about it, using the Force, dropping stuff on people. Like, that could have been an explosion going off with the gangplank falling on them. And if you needed to explain it away, like, oh no, I didn't do that. That was, there was a big explosion and the thing fell on them. So I love that you have that reverence for your lightsaber, and I'm super jazzed for when that thing is gonna come out in a battle at some point. It's gonna be so awesome.
Definitely, because I knew that the villain was going to reveal himself. It's a Star Wars rule of thumb, in my opinion, that you make it very clear who the villain is, and they have their entrance. And his entrance was just going to be that hologram of him giving his message. But like that caught me off guard, because I was like, of course he has the Force. Why wouldn't he reach out to him? So that was great, man. And finally, Asher, defining moment.
I like Asher talking in circles and trying to come up with the story that fits best for that moment. Like, I'm from around a lot of places. Oh, this is my old friend. Oh, we went and got this crystal, and oh no, I found it. And like he's clearly, this is his life. Is like whatever lie fits the moment. Don't think ahead. Don't look back. That's how he's lived, and that came through very clearly.
I loved it. I loved that he was like a fresh-faced new Force user, but he also had kind of a seedy past. I really liked that dynamic. I loved that intro scene with him where he was like trying to fast talk with the motherfucker. But I think that maybe my favorite moment was like after he like viciously destroyed these stormtroopers in battle, he was like surprised with his ability to do that. It was like, oh yeah, I'm a fucking badass. That was so cool.
Absolutely.
I love that the first Force use of the Force that we had in this game was him disarming a drug dealer. Like, it's just so perfect that like he used the Force to pull this guy's gun away from him in a botched like drug deal. That's so like underbelly of Star Wars. I love that.
Absolutely. Just amazing stuff. I particularly like that moment that you said with the snatching the drug dealer thing, and yeah, oh man. And well played, everyone. So thank you to all of my wonderful players, and thank you for those of you watching live and after the fact. If you like this video, give it a like. If you'd like to see more like it, then give me a subscribe. We're all not. We're all friends here. Or are we? Take it easy, and may the Force be with you.